This is where it comes back to, we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
We don't have a perfect marriage, but we do have a secure marriage.
Exactly.
And that's because we can still have fights. We can still mess up. We can still fail in some of these areas.
Yeah.
But we just keep coming back to the tools and using them so that we can get connected again. Welcome to the Secure Marriage Podcast, where we believe it's possible to fight less, feel understood, and enjoy a deeper connection with your spouse. We're your hosts, Paul and Shannon Elmore, and in today's episode, we talk about the secure marriage framework and what parts we find most relevant in our own lives.
Yesterday was Sunday, and you took a big chunk of the day and did all of our laundry and got all the clothes folded. And even though it was hard to do that, it was gloomy outside, and you didn't want to fold all the clothes. And then after you folded the clothes, what did you do?
I don't even remember.
You got out a big bag, a big suitcase type of bag.
I couldn't even remember. Yeah, I got all the clothes folded up.
And
then I put Paul's clothes away and took everything off of the bed that was his. And then I got out my suitcase and I put everything that I own inside my suitcase because I'm going on a vacation in 10 days.
In a week and a half, she packed. And she's ready for me to take her to the airport today. She's going to camp out at the airport for a week. She is so ready to be out of this weather, out of this gloom, out of this cold. You are done.
Oh my, yeah, I can't believe I didn't remember that I did that.
Nope.
That's funny.
You are absolutely cooked, and you are ready to head for some sun.
Yes, I am. This is very, very true. And even thinking about it just makes me I want to say I'm excited about it, but you
might not make it the next 10 days.
No, this weather has really gotten to me this season. We've had some sunshiny days too, but I'm just so far down into this seasonal affective stuff that a few days of sunshine are nice for the day, but it doesn't have long-term lasting effects at this point. So,
and while you were packing and doing all the laundry and stuff, I was all day yesterday doing what?
Finishing uploading all of our new Secure Marriage Framework videos that we have finally finished, edited, and uploaded.
42 videos plus 3 that are free for everybody. 45 total videos in the Secure Marriage Framework online workshop that we have done. They're only 5 minutes, 7 minutes a piece, so it sounds like a lot of videos and a lot of time. They are in nice bite-sized little pieces that you can learn the principles and ideas around the Secure Marriage Framework really easily. But my gosh, editing and putting together all of these videos, I don't want to ever look at another computer ever again. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, that was a lot of work, but they were so much fun to put together.
We are so looking forward to getting these out there for
Except
people.
for the few little fights that we had while we were doing them, but that's par for the course.
We don't ever fight. We are just perfect, and this is just for all the messed up people out there like you guys. We never fight.
A good opportunity for us to put into practice what we're actually teaching you guys about.
I was sitting with a couple in my office who are talking divorce, and I was taking this couple through the exact same principles that are in the Secure Marriage Framework. I was drawing the exact same thing on my whiteboard in my office that I draw in all the videos. And the woman looks at me with kind of tears in her eyes, and she goes, "Why didn't we have this 10 years ago? Why in the world couldn't we have had something like this before we were so angry and so bitter and so frustrated with each other? Why didn't we have this 10 years ago?" That is the reason why you and I are just so stinking excited to have these out there. I don't want to see any more couples go through problems that are solvable, that there are easy solutions, but they need some sort of clarity or understanding or just one little simple tweak, and the relationship gets better. That's why I want to put these things out there to as many people as possible.
And they're simple ideas, which, oh man, if we had these at the beginning of our marriage, it would have been so different.
The concepts are remarkably simple. The hardest thing in the entire Secure Marriage Framework is the same thing that's hard every day, which is that survival brain kicks in. It's that piece that says, I want to make sure I get my needs met first. So when we're arguing, I'm always making myself the hero. I'm always portraying myself as virtuous in whatever we've just disagreed about, and I'm ignoring or forgetting about you. It's so hard for me personally to get out of that survival brain and see things from your perspective, or consider you, or trust you enough. That is that humanity piece that technically it's called your limbic system kicks in, and your frontal cortex turns off, and you stop thinking rationally, and you move into survival. That's why we call it survival brain.
Mine does that a lot. I wish I could control it. I really wish that you could just disconnect those parts or something.
I do too.
They serve a purpose.
Yeah, but once you become aware of it, once you can actually go, oh, my survival brain's just kicked in, and I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to use these principles here, openness or responsibility or grace, and that is going to keep us from doing any more harm. Once you realize you have all these tools, it actually helps you get out of that survival brain faster, which now makes it possible for you and I to get connected again.
And resolved.
Even in the middle of filming 42 videos over the last month and a half, we bumped up against this. We had simple little things that triggered my defensiveness and my protectiveness, and so did you.
Mine too, yep.
But we worked through it.
We did. It's nice to be able to use the tools to work through it. It doesn't feel real great when what you're fighting about you've just talked about on a video. Those ones are the worst, because then you really feel like, oh man,
who are we to be talking about this?
Right.
Exactly. But we're talking about this because we're just as fallible as everyone else, that we are still working on this.
Right. And this is where it comes back to, we talk about all the time, we don't have a perfect marriage, but we do have a secure marriage. And that's because we can still have fights, we can still mess up, we can still fail in some of these areas, but we just keep coming back to the tools and using them so that we can get connected again.
Before we had this framework and being able to understand, it's almost like someone gives us a cheat sheet.
Right.
We have all the answers, and we don't have to keep guessing or floundering in the middle of a test. We can kind of go through and go, oh, this is what we need to do right here. And we get into that mindset.
It's really nice to have those laid out. This is what you can work on when you're not communicating well. This is what you can work on when you feel alone or misunderstood. It was like a cheat sheet. I like that.
Yeah. I always hated the teachers in school that were always saying, this is what you need to know, so we're going to give a test on it. But they don't ever teach you the how. How do I learn that? How am I supposed to know that? Where am I supposed to use that? When am I supposed to use that? How does that relate to this over here? It was just rote facts that didn't really hang anywhere. They didn't have any purpose.
That reminded me, like Isaac had finals last week, and I asked if he knew what was going to be on any of his tests, and he said, well, one of my teachers gave me this big sheet of stuff, but I don't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
And I was like, well, aren't you supposed to study that? He said, yeah, but I still don't know what's going to be on the test or how the questions are going to be asked. And I thought, well, that's really interesting that teachers would send home study guides, but the kids don't know what to do with them. So it kind of tells you that there's those pieces missing. Our secure marriage framework is like a study guide, but we actually tell you how to use it, how it's going to work, and how it's going to benefit you, as opposed to just figure it out yourself.
And unfortunately, we use most of our arguments and fights and mistakes that we have between us, so you can see exactly when to use it and what it looks like to use and why to use it. So with all of that in mind, we have actually worked really hard as we've put together this online workshop to make it not boring. We want to make sure that it is relevant, easy to follow, easy to understand, principles and ideas that you can apply immediately after you watch these videos. You'll be able to put them into practice that day, so you're not having to just wait weeks and weeks and weeks and trying to remember all these things. All of the concepts in the secure marriage framework stack on top of each other. We call them hierarchical. You have to start with openness, and then you move down to responsibility and empathy, and you stack on top of it. And again, when you go through it, you'll see how easily it makes sense and when and where and why to apply it in your relationship.
What I like about it as well is we intentionally made the videos short.
Yes.
So that you can get little bite-sized nuggets that you can actually start to apply right away. You don't have to sit for an hour and a half. I know we've been to different...
Well, to be honest, this is a remake of previous videos we've already
Right.
made, and the first video was 47 minutes long. No one's going to watch a 47-minute video. I apologize. If anyone has seen those videos, stop watching them. That's why we remade these,
they still
because
have good content.
they had
in them,
great
but-
content, but they were so stinking long and boring. In fact, I have had people say, Paul, stop talking. Put Shannon on the videos because she makes it more interesting. She makes it more interesting. Absolutely.
Okay, and he can be a little long-winded because sometimes I have
Holy
things to say and
crap.
he just keeps talking and it's like, okay.
That's why we remade these. You're welcome. Okay. No one will ever have to see those other bad videos again. We're going to archive those forever, and we'll save you the pain of watching those previous videos. But it's still all good content. It's all the same content packaged in a much better format.
But what I was going to say is that because they're in bite-sized pieces, you can actually just practice them right then. You
Yep.
don't have to listen to 45 minutes and then try to remember what the important part was or oh, what am I supposed to do with this now? So that I love that part about it.
Yeah.
I was thinking out of the framework for you, what do you think is the one that is most practical or most applicable for you?
I know how easy it is for me to become defensive. When you point out something I've done wrong, I immediately want to tell you how wrong you are and why I am completely and totally 100% justified in doing what I did. That defensive piece kicks in. I don't like to be corrected. I don't want to be seen as wrong or mistaken or clueless or anything else like that. I also don't want to be responsible for hurting you. So if I can find a way to blame you when you're hurt, then I'll feel better. And you should just feel better too.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any
at
sense,
all.
does it?
No.
Your survival brain isn't the most logical thing on the planet.
No, it isn't, is it?
But it is designed to do one thing. It's designed to keep you safe. So the openness piece, I want to learn how to be open, truly open, not just open in words, but to
Right.
truly say, okay, wait a second. I am still safe. I'm still secure with you. And I'm willing to hear what you have to say and understand where you are coming from. If I can learn how to do that one thing without putting myself kind of above you in some way, I think our marriage would change remarkably. How about for you? What's the piece that stands out for you?
Well, every time we go through a different piece, most of them do. I think I really...
How about this time?
How about this time? Openness is a really big one for me. That's hard.
You want me to tell you what you should work on?
Sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sometimes you can, because you're out here,
Yeah,
you can see me
I
a little
get it.
bit better, and thankfully I trust you. And
Yeah.
and right now we're in a really good
Yeah.
spot, so you could tell me,
Yeah.
and I would
Be
be
okay
able
with
to
it.
hear it. Right. I've been thinking about this, and for me, I think I have to work on all of them constantly.
But if you had to pick
If I
one,
had to pick one,
that's one of the things we talk about in the Secure Marriage Workshop.
Right.
You don't have to fix all of
all
them
of
at
them,
once.
right?
Pick one.
Pick one. It's kind of a toss-up between openness and responsibility, and maybe you can help me define which
Okay.
category it falls into better. When I've done something to hurt you or hurt your feelings, I have a hard time hearing that. And whether that's because I don't want to take responsibility, I'm not sure that that's what it is, or if it falls into I don't like being told I did something wrong. Because it makes me feel inadequate some way, and that's a lack of being open to the possibility that I might actually be a flawed human being.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, so it kind of falls in somewhere in those two categories. But when your feelings are hurt, or I've done something to hurt them,
There
and
it
you
is.
tell me,
The minute you find, so technically that could be responsibility. The minute
Right.
you have to take responsibility, that defensiveness piece kicks in and your survival brain kicks in.
yes, and I go to this, oh, I'm a terrible human
Yes.
being, and your
And
feelings
you forget about me.
right, and your feelings get lost. So that's why I feel like I fit into all, when we talk
do.
about stuff,
Yeah.
my stuff, it feels like it falls into all the categories all at once,
Yeah.
and I can't really define which one in particular
Yeah.
it is. I don't like being told that I did something wrong, even if I did.
Right.
But I also don't want you to be hurting.
Right.
But
So when I'm hurting,
my feelings get hurt. It's terrible. Oh, and I just want to say I'm a horrible person. I'm not. I just have to be aware of that, and I have to work really, really hard.
we have our stuff to work on still.
We do.
What is obvious is we have language and words for it now. We can identify what we need to work on rather than just going, you're bugging the crap out of me, knock it off. You actually can label it and identify it and know what it is, and so can I. And now I can be very intentional about my interactions with you, or my tone towards you, or my posture towards you, and all of these things. It's really nice to have. That's why we call it a framework. It's an actual, you can lay it over the behavior and see exactly what you need to change or what you don't need to change. Without that, you're just lost.
And we're both using the same terminology.
Yeah. If this sounds familiar in your relationship, if you guys are looking for common language to start working on the issues that's between you and your spouse in some way, and you're tired of being confused or frustrated and not even knowing where to begin, the Secure Marriage Framework is exactly what you need so that you can fight less, feel understood, and then eventually enjoy a deeper connection with your spouse. And that happens by going through the 6 parts of the Secure Marriage Framework. They're designed to improve your communication so that you no longer are having bad communication, which leads to conflict. And then when you're in conflict, it always affects your communication and makes you have worse communication. And now you're stuck on the conflict cycle. Instead, these 6 parts of the Secure Marriage Framework will get you into better communication, which now leads to connection, which now leads to better communication, and now you're on the connection cycle. That's the whole purpose of the Secure Marriage Framework, is to improve your communication with your spouse. And it works. It's simple, it's clear, it's doable. So if you find yourselves struggling with that communication between you and your spouse, go to securemarriage.com right now. It begins with the 3 free videos that are on the top of the website there. You'll go through those and it'll explain that communication, conflict, and connection cycle, and it will give you a roadmap on how to start getting out of that. Then from there, you can actually sign up for our online workshop. The workshop's live. We have been working our butts off to get all of the videos up there, to have them redone, to have them in bite-sized pieces, to make them entertaining and fun and practical. You'll hear stories about Shannon and I over and over again, but you'll now have a path out of that confusion, out of that frustration, out of that hopelessness that you might be having in your relationship. We're tired of seeing marriages struggle. And when marriages are struggling, your kids are watching that. You're setting those examples in the ways that you never want to set those examples for your kids. And so by you choosing to start working on your relationship right now, you're changing your kids' future relationship. You're giving them a different template, a different model to follow. You can get started right now. You don't have to wait. You can actually sign up for the online workshop. Within 5 minutes, you can be watching the first video and start to get hope again, and direction and guidance on how to make your relationship better. We want to make making marriage easier. Yeah, I just said all of that.
That was great. We want to make making marriage easier.
That's what we're going to do. Anyway, securemarriage.com is the place to start. We'd love for you to go there. We'd love for your marriage to get better. We'd love to hear how it's working for you. Other than that,
I think that's it.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week on the podcast.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the show this week. If you want to find out how you can build your own secure marriage, go to securemarriage.com. And if you have a chance, subscribe to our show on iTunes or however you get your podcast, and leave us a review while you're there. You can also write us at podcast@securemarriage.com or follow us on Facebook. We're Paul and Shannon Elmore, and you've been listening to the Secure Marriage Podcast, where we believe it's possible to fight less, feel understood, and enjoy a deeper connection with your spouse. New secure prayer.
Any more harm to each other.
Here we go again.
You got to sneeze. There.
Oh, that was wonderful. Let me try that again because that was going to be stupid. Chink, chink, chink.